Today I'd like to do some more world building. I was so surprised how well received it was last time, since I thought talking about my world without presenting any new Pow Pow designs would be kinda boring and self-indulgent. But y'all seem to like it, and I do too, so we'll be going over more of that here today. Also a reminder that this project is primarily just a concept for a world. If you had to think about the form this concept would take, think more webtoon or animated series. While I am very open to it being a game, it is not my focus and I don't want to limit my scope to things based on a gameplay perspective. It's a fantasy world concept first, and that's what's most important. I just wanted to address this because I can see how it can be confusing with this being a creature collector, which is very heavily associated with games. So I hope that helps clear things up a bit. With that addressed, let's get on with the video. Last time we talked largely about how many Pow Pow you can keep, Pow Balls, and the magic system. So if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you watch that first before continuing this one. But yeah, I would pretty much like to pick up right where we left off in that video. In today's video, I'd like to talk more about the Pow Ball and how scouts can acquire Pow Balls. Since in my world, Pow Balls are not just a throwaway item that is found in your average store that any person can simply just purchase for a buck or two. But to talk about how to get Pow Balls, I first need to talk about the Scout Star Rank system. In my world, people who want to raise Pow Pow are called Scouts. To become a Scout, one needs to apply for a Scout's passport, which will grant them a form of ID, their first Pow Ball, and a chance to catch their first Pow Pow at an annual festival for new Scouts. These are all things I have mentioned in prior videos, but I just wanted to give a small recap. So when you start out as a brand new Scout, you start with a rank of 0 stars, which will be shown in your Scout's passport. To earn stars, you will compete in special events held at facilities called Star Stadiums. Star Stadiums are spread out across the land, so going on a quest to increase your star ranking usually requires a bit of adventuring, because if you acquire a star at one star stadium, you cannot gain another star at that same stadium. As for the events that take place at the star stadiums, I am still figuring that out, since I don't want them all to be straight up battles like in Pokemon with gym battles, so we'll gloss over it for now since there's a lot more to it I'd like to discuss later on. But yeah, Scouts gain a star by competing and winning an event at a star stadium. Scouts can achieve up to 5 stars, so the star rankings go from 0 to 5 stars. Every time a Scout wins a star, which increases their star rank, the Scout is awarded with an additional Pow Ball to carry and use. So a 0-star Scout has 1 Pow Ball to start with, and a 5-star Scout will have their 1 ball they started with and the 5 additional Pow Ball they have earned from each star ranking. So you can also determine people's star rank by their team size. Additionally, when you successfully gain your first star, you'll also be rewarded with a Pow Home device. This device is capable of storing your excess Pow Pow that you are unable to carry with you due to Pow Ball limitations. Similar to the PC in Pokemon, except it's a device you carry with you. Initially, the device can store up to 6 extra Pow Pow. The idea for this device actually came about from the feedback on my last lore video, when I talked about whether to include excess Pow Pow storage or not. And the general consensus was that there should be excess storage, but just a small amount, so people can switch up their teams and have a bit of variety, which I completely agree with, which is why I'm adding this device to the world and the star rank system. Now, let's talk Pow Balls. Like I mentioned earlier, Pow Balls are not just found out and about casually in this world. They are very special and powerful devices, so for Scouts to acquire more Pow Balls, they must prove themselves through their star ranking. And just to clarify also, Pow Balls are not like Pokeballs where if you throw it and it doesn't catch the Pokemon, it will break and be unusable. Pow Balls are highly durable and are meant to be reused infinitely. This also means that the Pow Ball is not forever attached to the Pow Pow. Like in Pokemon, if you catch your Pikachu with a Great Ball, that specific ball is forever tied to your Pikachu. But in my world, you can swap your Pow Pow between the Pow Balls and between Pow Home, the excess Pow Pow storage device. So think of your Pow Balls more like your team slots if that helps. So when you have 1 Pow Ball, you can only have a team of 1. If you have 2 Pow Balls, then you can have a max team size of 2, and so forth, until the max amount for a team is 6. Sorry if I'm over explaining, but I just want to do my best to make it clear, and if you have any questions, always feel free to ask and I'll try to address it in the comments or in a future video if many seem confused. So let's talk about why I chose to handle Pow Balls in this way. Well, let's start with the easy part, the fact that they're reusable. In the Pokemon world, it's pretty silly to me that such advanced devices would break upon failing a capture. Also, they became such a regular, disposable tool because they are so easily acquired and discarded. It takes a lot of the prestige and value away from the Pokeball, even though it is a device that is so important and core to the Pokemon world. That is why in my world, Pow Balls are rewarded to scouts that prove themselves through competition, and are not simply purchased for $2 at your local mart. Also, in Pokemon, there are different types of Pokeballs that have varying levels of capture rate, but I don't want that for my world. The idea of my world is that when you are trying to capture a Pow Pow, you are either befriending it or proving your strength by battling it. And for you to successfully capture the Pow Pow, it totally depends on the Pow Pow recognizing you as a worthy companion. So it has nothing to do with the kind of Pow Ball you're using. The Pow Ball is simply the device that allows you to capture and house Pow Pow, but the success of the capture is completely dependent on the Pow Pow's decision. This also helps to explain that Pow Pow are not captured against their will. Pow Pow generally do want to be captured and raised by people, but they are extremely picky and only want scouts that can prove themselves capable. So no Pow Pow can be caught without it wanting to be caught. So in this way, there is no need for different types of balls with different types of capture rates, since the outcome of the capture is determined by the targeted Pow Pow. Different types of Pow Balls will only be available for cosmetic and customization purposes. Now, let's discuss further why I decided to have Pow Balls be acquired through star ranking. Well, firstly, it kind of creates an incentive for scouts to want to increase their star ranking. Plus, I think it would be such a satisfying reward for increasing your star rank. In the Pokemon games, getting a gym badge mainly lets you be in better control of higher level Pokemon, but I'm not really a fan of that reward. Plus, the idea of you owning a Pokemon you can't control seems silly to me. So I thought having your party size increase as you go through your Pow Pow journey would be a much more satisfying reward. Plus, I think it would give much more importance into the decision making of what Pow Pow goes on your team. In Pokemon, you start off immediately with all 6 party slots, and you tend to fill it up with just any kind of Pokemon and swap them over time as you acquire more. But I want people to get excited to finally add a new Pow Pow to their team and to think hard which Pow Pow they should put into that newly earned slot. And I don't think people really struggle with that decision until the late game when they have access to all sorts of Pokemon. I think overall, it just adds importance to team size, and I think the limitation actually creates much more of an impact and fun than if you were able to have a full team of 6 from the beginning. But it also kind of just works thematically. If a scout were just starting out, managing a full team of 6 seems overwhelming. But if they were to focus on one Pow Pow at a time, they would better bond with them and learn about their strengths and weaknesses. And again, catching and raising Pow Pow is not a small task. It is very important and should be rewarded to those who deserve it. Since Pow Pow are a very important part of this world, every scout is allowed to raise one Pow Pow. But to raise more, you need to prove that you are capable. So I think the Pow Balls and star ranking being tied together works out really well. Also, I'm thinking when you reach the max star ranking of 5, your Pow Home storage cap of 6 increases to 12, since achieving max rank is a very big accomplishment, and there should be a reward on top of reaching max team size. Now, another question that is surely to come up is, what happens after becoming a 5-star scout? And to that, I'm still working on it. I have some ideas which are not too far off from that of Pokemon, like maybe some kind of assessment to achieve a title similar to Champion. But again, I am always trying my best to distance myself from Pokemon, so I'd like to spend some more time brainstorming on new potential pathways for this topic. Now, let's talk about Star Stadium events, since I glossed over it earlier. The specifics of these events are still under works, but we'll talk about some of my thoughts and ideas around them. One current idea is that scouts will participate in events that correspond to their star rankings. In this way, things are scaled to the individual, and it doesn't matter which star stadium you start at or go to. That is pretty much the only idea I am sure will stay. These next ideas are still very open. One thing I'm still wishy-washy on is if you should be competing against other scouts that have the same star ranking as you, or if it should be an experienced scout that is testing your skills like with gym leaders in the Pokemon world. As of right now, I'm leaning towards the former, competing against fellow scouts of the same star ranking. For one thing, it doesn't seem practical to have enough staff to challenge and assess every single scout that would like to partake in a Star Stadium event. So it would make more sense to just have them compete amongst each other in a somewhat tournament system. However, the only thing I don't like about this is that the standard is set by the participants. Like, let's say it's a 3-star tournament of 16 contestants, and the top 3 placements will be promoted to a 3-star scout. 3 contestants would be guaranteed to advance to a 3-star scout while the rest remain at 2 stars. Whereas if it were a one-on-one battle with a seasoned scout, as many people can fail or pass depending on the standards set to achieve the 3-star rank. So it means that every scout who is a 3-star scout has met the minimum requirement set by the system to be recognized as a 3-star scout. But with the tournament system, your 3-star ranking only proves that you were stronger than those specific 2-star participants that were in that specific tournament, and doesn't mean that you are as strong as someone who battled other participants somewhere else. This is another one of those kind of hard to explain problems, but I hope you're able to bridge the gaps in my explanation and get a general idea of what I mean. But that being said, I am still leaning towards a tournament-like system that pits same star ranked scouts against each other. I feel like the other route with experienced scouts testing you, while being more systematic and potentially fair, it doesn't account for that wildcard factor that I like to have in my world. I like the idea that you can enter your first star tournament as a little kid and could go up against someone who has been training for years but just happens to have never entered a star event until now. So I like how loose the tournament keeps it. Plus, it's kind of boring to imagine a hired scout that has to just go through the motions of testing various star ranked scouts while not giving it their all. I want star events to be intense and exciting, where everyone participating is giving it their all. But yeah, I think I'm getting over explaining, so let's just move on. As for the star events, I would like for there to be a variety. I don't want them all to just be battling, but battling should still be a big part of it, since the idea is that a scout's star ranking reflects their battle prowess as a scout. For battling events, there would of course be standard one-on-one scout battles, but there could also be battles where you have to pair up with another scout for a 2-on-2, or a one-for-all battle royale type of thing could be kind of fun too. And for non-battling type of events, I'm thinking things like tag, king of the mountain, racing through obstacle courses, and things of the sort. And maybe the type of event alternates. Like 1, 3, and 5-star events are battle specific, while 2 and 4-star events are those non-battling events. But yeah, nothing is consolidated, as I would like to think it through a bit more, and just like anything regarding this project, it is still very subject to change. Again, I hope you were able to follow along somewhat, since it was a lot of what ifs and what could be's with nothing majorly decided yet. My world building process is messy and slow, but I'm really happy with the direction and results so far. Let me know your thoughts on anything I discussed today. Do you like the ideas I brought up? Don't like, or have any questions or concerns? Please let me know. I love hearing discussions, and it's good to get second opinions on things or even new ideas. But with that, thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see ya next time.